Do you want to have control over your career life? Do you want to be a high achiever and have a more fulfilling and rewarding and progressive career life? You will, because you can. I am Karen Olege, a career strategist and coach. Welcome to this channel, Career Growth with Karen, where we get to empower one another on being high achievers, achieving more in our careers, whether it is in employment or in business. Please subscribe to this channel, like our content, share it, and comment down below for engagement. Feel free to engage with us on our social media handles on Instagram at Career Growth with Karen, on TikTok also, and on Facebook at the same handles, and on LinkedIn as Karen Olege. Do not forget to plug into our LinkedIn Lives every Wednesday, that's tomorrow, from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., where we get to engage on our conversation. I will also be leaving our email addresses down below or in the description box, careergrowthwithkaren@gmail.com. There, you will be able to reach out to us should you need any kind of career consulting, any kind of interview prep, CV revamps, and so on and so forth. Let's get started. This is Career Growth with Karen. Okay, welcome ladies and gentlemen to this episode. And let me tell you something. Today I have an amazing guest with me, as you can see, who will be introducing himself in a while. And the topic of today is investments in employment. Can you be rich in employment? Can somebody who is employed be wealthy? That's the key question that we are answering today with our investment consultant, Mr. Alex Kibebe. He's here. I will actually allow him to introduce himself better to you. So yeah, come together with us on this journey, and I hope that this content will be relevant for you who is employed to figure out your finances and know how you can invest and be wealthy during employment. Alex, please tell us about yourself. Who are you? People need to know you.
Wow. Thank you, of course, for inviting me into your space. My name is Alex Kibebe, like you've heard. I'm an investment consultant. I have a company called Rubiani Wealth Management Limited, and what we do, we provide advisory, we provide training, and we provide services in the area of investment. So I'm glad to be here and to answer any questions that you may have, especially concerning employment and investments. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alex of Rubiani Wealth Investments. Actually, we'll put it down below so that people can, get to know you. You have a website?
Yes.
Yeah, we can plug it in our description box so that all of you can follow Alex and Rubiani Investment. Yes. So Alex, before we even go into the investments bit, would you tell us about your career journey? Did you just land at investment consultant, or how did you get there?
Wow, that's a good question. So I did economics in campus, and then my first job, I was employed in a bank. I was actually employed in Citibank for quite at least the first stage of my career. I really worked there, worked my way up. But in my heart, all the way from campus, I really desired to do my own business. And so when the opportunity came, I stepped out, partnered with some friends of mine, and we started an investment company. Then it was called Hisanet African Investment Services. It has morphed to Rubiani, but I do what I love. I just love helping people make investments, helping people make the best of their money. And so in the last 14 years or so, imagine, I have been doing this thing called money. I hope that my experience means value to you or to anybody who comes along my way.
Yeah, I like it when you say I just do what I love, because that's the spirit of Career Growth with Karen. We want to do what we love and be fulfilled while at it. So I will go right into it. The key question is, can we get wealthy in employment? You already left employment, which is fine. And there's this perception that people say, when you're employed, you're just a slave, you'll never make money, you're just making money for your boss. But the reality of the matter is, all of us cannot be in business. Some of us need to be employed, and actually majority of us are in employment. So can we be wealthy?
Wow, that's a good question, and you'll allow me to give in a lot of stories just to make it as practical as possible, because I've met a lot of people. I consult with a lot of employees, and I've seen the difference between an intentional person and someone who just walks along the way when it comes to career. And I'm glad that that's a space you're talking into, like people need to be more intentional about their career, and if they do so, they can really advance in their careers, And so the first thing, maybe I can give a story to get started. When I got into Citibank, I had a friend who used to sit next to me, and he told me that he really desired to build a portfolio of real estate. That was his desire. And so the first thing he did is because he knew that in a bank he would get low interest mortgage. And so he was intentional in his career because he knew what he wanted. And so the first thing I tell employees, before even you step into your career, know what you want. Because let's be real, the relationship between your employer and you is simply financial. We want to grow our career and everything, but it boils down to money. And so you need to be very, very clear where you're going. And so for some, he started off, went into the bank, got a mortgage as early as possible. His plan was very simple. Steps in, gets a mortgage, buys a house, accelerates the repayment, goes to mortgage 2, 3, and 4. Today he's still a friend of mine. I think he's in property 14 or thereabout. Because what happens by the time you're getting to property 4, the rent is speeding you up in terms of repayment and everything. So I've seen people who love traveling, and so they plan their career around, being an airline hostess. It's nice to be concerned about the business of your employer, but you also need to know that you have business and to be keen about what's your business. And that starts by having a clear plan of what you want to achieve for yourself, so that as you're stepping in your career and helping your employer fulfill whatever their business is, you're also fulfilling what your goals are. So that's the way I would look at it. So to answer your question, you can be in employment and make a lot of wealth if you're intentional and you have a game plan around at least the balancing between your work and your money. So that's what I would say.
And when we compare people who are in employment and those who are in business or in entrepreneurship, usually there are a few differences or similarities. And we hear people say, for example, when you're in business, you're making a lot of money. When you're in employment, you're not making a lot of money. There are things like that. So even when it comes to investments, it's assumed that the one who is in employment doesn't have much. But also at the same time, we have things that can work for the advantage of the one who is in employment. So what are some of these things that you think those of them who are employed, or those of us who are employed, we are experiencing that is advantageous to us and is setting us up in the pace of investments?
Well, the first thing I would say is I've been both employed and I've been in business. There's a lot of deception around the whole idea about being business means the money flowing. I can assure you it's not as easy. There are few people of us, of course, who are in business who've made their breaks, but it's just like in the career world. Of course, there are a few CEOs out there, but when you look at the opportunities, if you ask me, having been on both sides, the opportunities are open to both of us, especially in terms of planning. But as you have mentioned, there are some specific advantages that someone who's employed has over someone who's in entrepreneurship. And I think that's what probably I'll first major on. I think the first advantage that someone who's employed has is that they have a consistent income. What that means is that they can be able to plan their money way before it comes. The thing about business is that money keeps going up and down. You can't predict with accuracy the amount of money you'll make 2-3 months down the line. That's a huge advantage for you who's employed. So if you're employed, you find that your salary is pretty much consistent. A few shillings here and there, up, down, but it's consistent. What that means, you can sit down and have a budget. You can say, you know what, I'll be investing 17,000 shillings. I'll be investing 20,000 shillings. And you have accuracy in that because you know the amount of money you'll be making. Now, from there, it helps you to be able to plan. And planning is so critical to being an investment success. So for example, let's take an example. You have a disposable of 70,000 shillings. You can say, you know what, I'll spend within 40,000 shillings. I'll give out X, then I'll save maybe my 15,000 shillings. And the advantage of that is you can even go ahead and put other mechanisms to ensure you invest. For example, you can go to your bank and tell your bank, every month when my salary gets in, 17,000 shillings, take it to my investment account. amount. That's unique to employment. When you're in business, because of those fluctuations, it's hard to be able to predict. And you can't have standing order. They'll keep bouncing or, so that's a huge advantage that an entrepreneur has. The other advantage, for example, people who are employed, they have benefits that, and we look down, we don't appreciate that. I can tell you, if you ever step out of employment, the first thing you discover is you don't have a health insurance policy.
Very important.
The second thing you discover is that when you're employed, you're just things like pension, your employer has taken care of that, and small other things that you don't think through. For example, one of the things that hit me when I stepped out into employment was I was wearing like 7 hats. I'm HR, I'm accountant, I'm admin.
You're procurement.
I'm procurement, I'm everything. And I'm the product itself. So it can really stretch you. And so those are advantages. So when you're employed, you see you have less things that you're pulling. So it's easier to plan and organize yourself. Another huge advantage, I'll tell you, is that you have an 8 to 5 job. An entrepreneur has an 8 to the following day 8. So it's 24 hours, Because, I'm called at 10 o'clock. I won't say, why are these people not respecting 8 to 5? That's business. I will pick my call at 11 and need to be as excited as I am at 8 o'clock because there's a business opportunity for me there. And so, again, it can really stretch you when you're employed. At 5 o'clock, you can go sit down. It gives you time to plan, if you're doing a second business, if you're, watching over your finances, there's less stress because at least you are clear about your time. So those are huge advantages that you may not realize, when you're employed, until you step out here into the world out here and discover that there are advantages that are very unique to someone who's employed.
And all of these things that, Alex, as you're mentioning them, I'm just seeing how it really sets somebody who's employed up for success in investments, because I have time to plan, I have consistency in the way my money is flowing, I have a few things like health cover, already catered for, so my family, I know they are covered, and the amount of money I'm getting now, I can just figure out how do I now make this money work for me. So those of us who are employed, why have we not been taking advantage of this? Why have we not been investing and using those advantages to ourselves? Now, as we talk about this, what are some of those ways that people can invest in? Because one thing that sometimes we are pushed to, I think maybe just because of the information that is around us, is business. Business is the only way to invest. And you're thinking, now, how do I invest? I need to still be in the 8 to 5. How do I start a business? And you're looking for which business can I do outside of the 8 to 5? Because every other business, people transact during the 8 to 5. So you're wondering, is this the only way? And if it's the only way, what can I do? Or are there any other ways that an employed person can invest and still 8 to 5, they can focus in their work, be at peace, and still there is an investment going on for them?
Wow. So I'll probably borrow from Robert Kiyosaki's Cashflow quadrant. And it says there are 4 ways that you can make income. You can be employed, you can be self-employed, you can run a business, and you can also invest. In my experience, when you're employed, you're better off if you focus on employment and then you invest. Don't play around the business so much and about self-employment, and I'll explain why. The first thing, as you've mentioned, is that business is very demanding. The statistics in Kenya say that 1 out of 10 businesses succeed in the first year. And of the ones that succeed, another 1 out of 10 will survive for 10 years. So the odds are really stacked hard against entrepreneurship. So that's the first thing. Now, don't forget that you are more disadvantaged because you have an 8 to 5 job. You have pressure, and so most likely you're trying to manage a business on remote. My experience, I've seen a lot of people miss it. Of course, there's a lot of excitement, I'm running a business, dropping a business card here and there. But the truth is that if you ask me, especially if you have interest, let's say, in business, what I would advise you is work in employment, build your investments, and hopefully build your passive income so that by the time you're stepping out into business, you're not desperate. Your expenses have been covered through your investments. Then now you can take risks. If a business you start and it fails, you're okay moving on, instead of just forcing and hanging in there because you're not desperate for income. So I tell people, build your passive income over time so that by the time you're stepping into employment, it's not into business, business, you're not doing it to cover your expenses. You're doing it to fulfill some of those dreams and desires you have to step into business. So if you are employed, the first thing I would advise you, like we've mentioned, you have consistent income. So the first place I tell people to invest is look around something we call a money market fund. So a money market fund, there are different funds. Maybe I can go slightly back. So there are a set of organizations called fund managers licensed by the Capital Markets Authority. That's the arm of government that deals with investments. So they've been licensed to pull money from the general public. So they work more like a public chama, just people in the public bring money together, then they are able to invest the pooled funds. And because they have expertise, they've hired expertise, and there's leverage in having a huge amount of money. The amount of percentage they're able to get is higher than if you went with your few shillings. So because of that, I find that the money market fund really works for people who are employed. Number one, no analysis needed. Once you open, you just need to, that's where you put your bank order. You say, get my 15,000 shillings, put it in one of those fund managers. There are around 30 fund managers in Kenya. You can do your research, pick one, and now use it as your base investment account. Very simple. Most of them start with as low as 100 bob. You can start investing in a money market fund. The big advantage is, number one, you make interest every day, so it's compounding every day, and the power of compounding is so critical for the investment journey. The second thing is money that's available to you. Most of them will get you 3-4 days, you can get your fund. So there are no commitments, but as you invest, you can see your money grow, and that becomes your base account. Then from there, maybe you can now come look for more strategic investments. If you're a guy, maybe you're a lady who likes some kind of risk, you can go, you can check out the stock markets. The beauty about it, we're in the internet world. You can invest in Kenya, you can invest in the US, anywhere. You say, this Elon Musk guy, I like his Tesla thing. Put in some cash there. Facebook, you can play in stocks anywhere. That's if you're a risk person. Of course, I always advise people, don't put in so much, especially at times you can get into too much risk that can expose us big. The number two, if you're young, if you're below 35, take risks. When you start getting to, there you go. But when you start hitting 40 and above, you want to be more risk averse because you're facing retirement, and you now want to be converting your money to passive income. So that's the first thing. Start a money market. Think about maybe stock market. As you grow your fund, you can start playing in the treasury products. Treasury bonds in these particular seasons are doing very well. We are seeing returns of 14.4% per year. That's really, really a good return and a good passive income for your money. So you start playing in the treasury bond space. Then as you build your wealth, you can step into real estate. Again, you can see it's a progression. So after some time, you've gotten enough money, because for real estate, you need quite some capital. So you've gotten to capital level of real estate, start buying 1-2 pieces of real estate. Then you discover, as you be intentional. Remember, Karen is telling you be intentional about your career. I'm telling you be intentional about the money you make at the end of the month. So you grow that money, you start playing in real estate, you keep doing that. And what happens, especially if you're saying, I want to retire early, I want to try my hand into business. If you give yourself 10 years or so, you'll see that you have built enough passive income to cover your expenses. Then you can step out and start business with no pressure as you continue growing your wealth, so that by the end of it, as we are saying, you are becoming wealthy even as you grow your career.
Well, you have talked to us about a number of products and the progressive, you can start very easily with the money market fund and then grow into the others that would need a bit more money. I'd just like to know, for example, when really should someone start? Because here in Kenya, most people, they graduate around 24 and you get into internship and you're earning maybe 20K. And you start growing slowly from that 20 Gs to something else. So how soon, or what is the right point in this whole salary journey for you to start the investment?
Wow, very good question. And so the first thing I would say, the moment you're employed, because investment is a habit, it's a lifestyle. And anytime I meet someone who's employed, the first thing I tell them, I don't care the amount of money you're making. if you want to succeed in this investment journey, you must live within 80% of the money you're making. It could be 10,000 shillings, it could be 20,000 shillings. So if you're earning 10,000 shillings, ensure that you're living within 8 and putting aside 2K towards your investment, because it's a mindset. And so if you're right now, you're saying, you know what, I have little money, all the money I get, I just simply spend. Of course, we are crying, oh, the inflation is high, you go to the supermarket, everything, fuel is up. But you just have to crack it in a way and ensure that 20% of your money is going to investing. And why is that important? Because the goals that you have, you want to own a home, you want to build wealth, you want to, give an inheritance to your children, you want to finish well, you don't want to retire and you're broke, your retirement plan is your children or such kind of things. We don't want that. So the only way you can achieve that is by ensuring that you have a lifestyle of living within 80% of your income. 20% you're investing it aside. Because the truth is, there's one day that you'll come when you won't be employed. And guess what? You'll still be spending money, whether you're employed or not. And so when you have that discipline, number one, it protects you in those seasons. Maybe you're retrenched or something like that. The day you're retiring again, you're not retiring to reduce your lifestyle. You're retiring to maintain or grow your lifestyle. That's when you want to travel. That's when you want to, say thank you to yourself for the works that you have spent 8 to 5. So you need money at that particular point. And the only way you can achieve that is if you have a lifestyle of setting aside 20% of your income to go to investments. And if you're listening to me, you're not there, find a way. I don't know whether you'll sell or you move houses. Make it so radical and start that journey of putting aside 20% of your income to go towards your investments.
I like that, because we keep on saying live within your means, but no one says what means is. So I like that we have actually put a figure to it and said live within 80% of what you're earning. Now, of course, we all have bank accounts which our salaries come through. So what you're telling us is that these bank accounts should just be conduit accounts for us to put our money elsewhere, to park our money elsewhere. So I think one of the places the obvious places where we are being asked to start growth team is for us to just start by putting our money in the money market fund. Do your research. Now, what can you tell people about also, for example, somebody wants to start as simple as a money market fund. I personally once put my money in a money market fund, and someone called me and told me, please remove that money. And I removed, because I was just listening to any advice that I'm told. And 7 months later, actually, that account, that company, was under with people's money. Everyone saying about, how they have tried to access their money and they can't. What can you advise us in regards to someone who wants to start and they're wondering where do I put the money?
That's a good question. So the money market fund, let me first say that the money market fund is really protected. And this is what CMA does, because CMA, I said, is the government arm. So because these are what you call small investors, people putting in very small amounts of their money, the government is very keen about the protection around it. So I'll give you a few examples. Every money market fund, for example, let's speak CIC, a random example. That's the fund manager. So when you put your money with CIC, the funds don't go to CIC. They sit with someone we call a custodian. So every fund manager has a custodian who keeps the money or the ownership things in trust for the people who have invested. So and that separation of powers is to ensure that the fund manager, the only work is to make decisions and tell the custodian, buy this, sell this and that. So that's the first step of protection. So the person who's owning your money has no vested interest in the decisions that are being made. Then the second thing is that the government also requires every fund manager to have a trustee. So a trustee simply audits or checks what the fund manager is doing to ensure that he's doing stuff in the best interest of the investor. So there are also other rules. For example, the government is clear, every fund cannot invest more than 5% of the money in the fund on one thing. So they can't put their money more than, so the risk is really spread. And for that reason, even for the company I know you're mentioning, it really went under, and it's gone under in all its, they call them high yield funds and all. But when it comes to the money market fund, again, because of that that protection,
Yeah.
you can go in and trade with it. So for that reason, there's no mutual fund. All those money markets, they are mutual funds.
Yes.
None has fallen because of that extra protection.
Yeah.
But it's important when you're going for a money market fund, ensure it's money market, because as you've mentioned, the other products that look and sound like money market, but they are not. And so it's easily for you to get into the wrong space, imagining that it's money market and it's not. So as far as the money market fund is concerned, I feel that is safe. Having said that, I know I'll sound biased, but I always go for tier 1 companies. People with big funds. There's better management, there's more transparency. I feel more confident investing for myself and even advising my clients to go that direction. Yes.
I see that. And now, for me, I would just like to understand from your own experience and just hearing from people, what is it that then prevents us, people who are employed, from making the step? Because it's as simple as getting into the investment, starting, and we're in the information age, so everyone is able to Google, get a little information if you need it. So what is it that could be stopping us from doing that?
Good question. So the thing about investing is that investing is important, but it's not urgent. And that's like the bottom line.
It's not do or die.
Yes. And so what happens, there are always urgent money needs. If you're in Kenya today, like you've mentioned, there's black tax. You're taking care of a relative. Then we have a social status that you need to maintain, especially for us who are employed. Your peers are driving this car. They'll make jokes around your kind of car that you're driving. We want to keep up, and keep chasing the Joneses. That really works against us when it comes to employee. And the reason why it's bigger on employee is because we are working a team, and so we know each other's life. There's a lot of comparison, and that can really work against us. And so the first advice I'll speak to any employee is define your own path. Define your own path. Don't care what anyone is doing. In the short run, you might look silly and all, because you're making decisions that are more long term and good for you. But if you define your path and start taking that path, it will bear better fruits at the end. And so the first thing, discover that it's important but not urgent. If you don't invest this month or next month or end of year, nothing much will happen. But you know that you're missing out on your big goals that you desire, on your future expenses. And so that's why I'm saying the first thing, determine for yourself, this is my path. I give you the example of Sam. Even picking jobs was very clear because he had already determined his path. And so it's up to you to sit down and say, I don't want to be just a statistics, or I don't want to be that employee who's chasing around, wanting to fit in. I want to define my path and fulfill my goals. That's the first thing. Then the second thing I've mentioned, define a ceiling for your expenses. Don't care what all your peers are doing. If you've said, I'm living within 80%, just stick to it. The easiest thing of doing that, of course, is having a budget and sticking to it. If you make that a habit in your life, then you'll find it's easier. Then, as you've mentioned, there's nothing hard, especially for an employee. Your variable, there are very few variables. Everything is known. So it's easier for you to start investing, be consistent. The only thing I'll mention is when you start, the journey looks slow and sluggish and can be discouraging. But if you break the 1-2 year barrier, the rest becomes easier, because as you see your fund is, you're starting to hit 1 million, you're starting to hit 2 million. I think scientists tells us there's a dopamine effect. You're excited. And I have seen in my experience in all the years, when people start hitting that space, the rest, I don't even follow them. Now they are all excited, they're willing to live even lower, below their means, because they're seeing their fund is growing, their goals are becoming closer, and that can really encourage you in this journey.
Okay, what can you tell us about circles? Almost every other workplace has a circle that belongs to the organization. Every other workplace, and there's one habit that happens to us when we are getting employed. You're in company A, you enter the circle. You move to company B, you also enter the circle. Company C, you're entering the circle. I actually don't know whether that's a good or bad thing. You can advise us and just tell us generally, should we be in circles or not?
Good question, and I'll go back to what I said. It all depends on your plan. What a SACCO does, a SACCO is a great place because number one, it gives you access to cheap debt. Don't forget that a SACCO is owned by its members. So a second thing is that it's very lenient. I can promise you, if you take a bank loan and you take a SACCO loan, you'll understand what I mean by it's lenient. Yeah, so it has those advantages. So investing, or let's call it saving up in a SACCO, is really a good thing if you have debt as part of your game plan. So I've mentioned, for example, if it's someone who wants to pick mortgages, they're looking for companies that have low interest. So if, for example, you want to, at some point, you want to, to build some rental properties, you discover that saving up enough money to build rentals is not easy. You need debt as part of your game plan. So a SACCO is critical, because you'll save up, you're able to borrow 3 times. I'm seeing SACCOs are even becoming more creative. You don't even borrow 3 times. As long as you have collateral, maybe you want to build some property, the property becomes collateral and it can even give you more than 3 times. So it has those advantages in terms of access to debt. And what I would say is that I know debt has really been positioned as bad. People run away from debt, but the truth is that if you understand the leverage of debt, how to use debt to your advantage, it can really push you forward in this investment journey. So what I would say is that get into a debt if your path or your plan, your game plan. So remember, I'm going back to game plan. You need a game plan. That's where you start. If your game plan will work with debt at some point, definitely go the SACCO. Of course, some few cautions. Number one is a SACCO pays out dividends. For most people, we receive dividends by M-Pesa, it's thrown to the bank, we just spend it on our expenses. So we don't enjoy the power of compounding. If you can be able to get that particular check or payment from your SACCO and reinvest, then you'll see that compounding power in the growing of the money that you have in your SACCO. The second thing, of course, this one is so tricky. It's the whole thing of, everyone wants to be, what is it called? The sponsoring, you want to sign for everyone.
Guaranteeing.
Guaranteeing. Sorry, that's the word I'm looking for. And the truth is that guarantee comes with some risk. I've seen people who've guaranteed their friends. There's a retrenchment. 4 of their people they had guaranteed leave, and they switch off the phone. Or they come and tell you, I don't have money. I've been retrenched. So I've seen them wipe all their SACCO money. So that's a risk. I don't know how you play it. I don't know whether to become mean or to ensure that you have a debt, so you can't, I don't know, but I know that is a risk. You need to be careful, because remember, anytime you guarantee someone, anything happens, you're the one, it's your shares that will be, so those are 2 risks you need to be careful when it comes to SACCO. If you ask me, there is no real value in being in multiple SACCOs, because most SACCOs have the same terms. You can, you are borrowing 3 times the amount of money. So if you ask me, have one SACCO and find out about this other, the money market, what are we talking about? The treasury bonds, what are we talking about? Because remember, if you're in this SACCO, you're pulling from the same pool. You'll discover you don't have money to be able to do other things. So my advice, stick with one SACCO, go into money markets and grow your wealth to more sophisticated products, if I may call it that way.
So Alex, at this point, I would like you to help us understand, because of course, we are on different points of this journey. There's those who've not started at all, and I encourage you to start by the MMF. There's those who have already been in money markets and they've already hit the 1 million, 2 million mark, and we would like to go into stock market, into bonds, but we have no idea what that is. We have no idea. We don't know where to start. And we also don't know who will help us, because there's so much information online, but also you're trying to sift, because this is your money. You don't want to put it somewhere and you're losing it. So where can we get help? And I know you are an investment consultant. So how do we get help? How do we reach you? And what kind of help are we going to get when we access you or any other investment consultant?
Thank you. So the first thing I tell people is that there's a difference between an investment consultant and a salesperson of one of the fund manager insurance. So they are selling a particular company. That's not an investment consultant. So the first thing I would advise you is look for someone who's independent. They're not tied to a company, because they are purely a salesperson, and they are just selling to you products. But when you come to someone like me, I am not blowing my trumpet, but I'm independent. What that means is, when it comes to money market funds, I deal with any any fund manager at all. Yeah, so I can take you here depending on your needs. I can take you here, there, and it's the same thing with insurance. Independent people are able to give you value because they're thinking about your interests. What are your needs, and position you with the provider who is best value for you. Yeah, so that's the first thing. The second thing, look for someone again who's not in one space. There are people who only sell real estate. There are people who sell they just consult on stock markets. Again, they are biased because they can only give you advice on stock market. So try and look for an investment advisor, someone who gives you advice on your investment journey. So they'll come in, like I tell you, you know what, start with a money market fund. From there, diversify to maybe stocks. Then when you get to the right point, go into treasury products. Play within that space, you raise enough money, step into real estate. Clearly, I am moving from one investment product, what we call an asset class, to another, investment product to another. And that is how you're able to grow your wealth. So that's the first thing. Look for someone who's independent, someone who's able to give you advice beyond one asset class or one investment product. The second thing, of course, do your research. Talk to you. If you come to me, I'll give you some referrals, some people you can go sit down here, how I have helped them. You don't at times, we're in the internet world. I can come put a camera in front of me and sound like the best guy. But you need to be careful. Look how much has this person advised? What are their credentials? What gives them the right to advise on finances? All these things come to play. Then of course, do your own research. We have all the information on the internet, so that even by the time you're going to a consultant, you're not that novice. Stuff. So you're going, and when someone gives you wrong information, you really pick your red flags. So that's what I would advise you. But even as you've mentioned about investment consultant, I want to go back to your own research, and I think that's the most important. We're in the information world. If you really want to know anything about anything, you just need to invest yourself. Go research. There's a lot of comments, a lot of advice, and you will find you are navigated to the products that best work for you. That's what I would say.
Thank you so much. I think that was an insightful session. Before I close it, there's Forex. Just tell us anything about Forex, because I know my viewers will be wondering. Forex was not touched. Just tell us anything about Forex, cryptos.
Good question. This is what I would say about Forex. Let's first deal with Forex. The biggest trade in the world, or probably one of the biggest, is foreign exchange trade. It's the biggest in the world, transacting in the billions of dollars every day, because you're in the international trade world. You're always importing and exporting, and what that means, you have to deal with another currency that speaks to Forex. For that reason, Forex is the biggest trade. However, the kind of Forex you'll see being advertised on your social media posts and probably someone calling you is what we call contract for difference Forex exchange. And what that simply means is there's some online broker who gives you leverage. It's called leverage. So you put in your $100, they make it in such a way that they give you leverage so that you're either operating on, $1,000 or $10,000. And why they do that is because currencies don't fluctuate that hard. And so for you to see any meaningful gains or losses within a short period of time, they have to play with that leverage. Now that leverage multiplies the risk in multiple folds. And so what that means is that within the same day, you can double your money or lose all your money. And that is a very high risk product. And what high risk products of that level do is they cannot guarantee money in the mid to long term. Short term you'll make money, but I can guarantee you in the mid to long term you will lose money. They did a research in the UK and discovered that over 80% of people who invest in what you're calling contract for difference, foreign exchange trading, they lose their money. It's a really high risk. I can tell you, I've been in this market 14 years. I keep meeting people. They took loans. They go to this guy. He sounded intelligent. He knows his stuff. Give the money. Promised, a certain return, even a guaranteed return, but they lost their money. Because in the mid to long term, it's what we usually say is that the economy, there's a friend of mine called Frank, he says that the economy has too many bearings, too many cogs, too many moving parts for anyone to predict with accuracy. Even for me as a financial, analyst, I know there's a lot of conjecture. We don't work with 100% information. And so that's why we are very biased to low risk products because they protect us. But when you go to high risk product like Forex, I would advise you 100% biased, stay clear. And I'll tell you why. One, you give your money to some person who says they are guru. The track record is so clear that a lot of them close after 1, 2, 3 years. I know there is a particular one in the market today, I won't mention. There are a sizable name. They've really done it 2, 3 years. I'm still holding my, I'm not so confident. That's when it comes to Forex trading. So I would advise you use, especially when you're dealing with, it's a long run. Let's say it's a marathon. Just pace yourself. Go with time and tested products. That will give you a more surer end towards your journey. So that's it for Forex. So I would advise you. The other thing I'll tell you, I've seen friends who've gone into Forex, and because of that quick gain, quick loss, it can also become like gambling. I've seen people who are addicted. It messed their families because they get money, they quickly jump into Forex. They lose their money, of course. Maybe they make some bit, they lose even before they pay their rent. I've seen people who have had to relocate. They have a good job, but they relocate their family to up country because they can't meet their needs, because they've gotten into the trap of being addicted to Forex in the same way that things like gambling can addict you. So those are my 2 cautions when it comes to Forex. Now we go to the to the crypto world. So probably speak more about Bitcoin. Is the biggest crypto. So crypto world promises something, that we have a digital currency that is not controlled. So all currencies are controlled by a government. If it's a Kenya shilling currency, it's under the Kenyan government. But crypto comes with a promise that it's not controlled. And so there is free movement of money. It's a huge advantage. The second advantage, of course, it has a lot. You talk about people mining and everything. So the guys who came up with it had a way of controlling the amount of money that gets into the market, so that it continually increases value for the people with the money. It's promised big, but there are few things I have caution around Bitcoin and other cryptos. The first thing is that Bitcoin is not widely accepted for trade. You'll not pick your Bitcoin and go to the supermarket and get anything. So it's not widely accepted for trade. So for that particular reason, you'll discover that most of the people who have a Bitcoin are not keeping it for trade, because it's a currency. Ideally it should be for trade. You're changing it for goods and services, a medium of exchange. Most people who have Bitcoin is just purely for speculation. And what happens, be it land or any product that has speculators over 80%, is that the price fluctuates because as soon as there's a problem, because you don't have no value for Bitcoin, as soon as there's a problem, we rush to sell it. We don't want to lose money. So you can see, even with all these cryptos, they fluctuate a lot, which means high risk. Then I always say, again, with Bitcoins, again, the lack of regulation is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. Because you see now, Bitcoin and cryptos are being used for everything. So morally wrong, talk about things like human trafficking, drug, cybercrime, all those kind of things. They prefer Bitcoin because it has no regulation. Nobody will ask them a question. So because of those things, I'll maybe make a caution, but I'll say this, as Bitcoin becomes more and more widely used as a medium of exchange, then why not? It's a currency like any other. Of course, you want to have it, and hopefully it appreciates, but you'll find that it becomes more stable as it becomes widely used, and then it becomes a worthy investment, if you ask me. So again, I said it's long term. Investment is a marathon, so let's wait until it becomes stable, then we can play. But as of now, so much risk. But having said that, I always tell people, if you want to step into Forex, if you want to get into Bitcoin, at the minimum, don't take debt. Invest money you're willing to lose, so that if you lose, if you make good money, well and good. But if you lose, it doesn't, mess your life. Because I've seen people go into debt, take a loan to put into Forex, and it has messed them. You can imagine you're paying a loan for 7 years, and money got lost on day one. It's so painful. painful. Yeah, you don't want to get into that mess.
Yeah.
And so those are the two questions I'd put around Bitcoin and around Forex trading.
Oh,
Exactly.
yes. Thank you so much, Alex. It's so easy to be swayed by the information in the space. You know, you're hearing this and that, and you'd like to put, and already your money is hard-earned money. You have sweat 8 to 5. You have braved the weather and the traffic. So, guys, please, let's make the right choices. Let's go to the money market funds. At the bare minimum, if you don't have that and you're in employment, what are you waiting for? What else can I tell you in Career Growth with Karen, guys? Please, let's get into investments and talk to Alex. Alex, tell us, how can we find you? I know we have had such a short session here, but how can we find you if we would like to get further information, so we can plug your handles down below?
Yes. So, of course, my handles will be shared. So that's the first thing. Our offices are at Trio Complex, is at Garden City. So, and there are 3 major products that we offer to someone like you. The first thing is if you have a one-off consultancy, people who are retiring, people who've gotten a windfall money, they want to come and say, how do we do this? So we can give you a one-off consultancy. The second thing, which I really advise people, especially if you've had this information, you're like, this is the kind of stuff I need. So we coach you, and so we go through a journey where we look at your money and we go step by step, just advising you what's the product, and just giving you advice through a coaching session. It starts with 5 sessions where we get to help you understand the world, and then we work in an accountability partnership. So that's the second product. The third one, as I had alluded to, we are agents, and we are independent, so we work with all this. So if in case you want to open a treasury products account, you want to open a stock market trading account, you want to open a fund, money market fund, all that kind of things, as agents you can come through us. We'll ensure that whole process of starting off is seamless. You get started, and because a lot of times people fear, because there's a lot of jargon in there, and you want someone to handhold you in the journey. So those are 3 ways that you can partner with us. So you can reach out. My number, everything will be given. So then let's start this journey, and so that as you're working for your employer's business, you're also working for your own business. So that's what I would say.
Thank you so much, Alex, and thank you for listening. And I hope there is so much that you have taken. For me, I was just listening in, and I'm sure I will also be watching this episode later on just to take in the notes very keenly, because we all need to go on that growth journey. And ladies and gentlemen, growth team, of course, we are not just looking to be in employment and suffer while at it. We are looking to be wealthy even while in employment. And I like all the nuggets and the investment options that Alex has given us. So please plug in and reach out to him should you need any further guidance onto which investments you can make. But the question that we have answered is that yes, it is possible to be wealthy in employment, and you actually have a better chance at it because there's so many advantages that your position is giving you to invest and be a better and a more wealthier professional. Ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe to Career Growth with Karen. Like the content, share it, comment down below. Also tell us what has been your experience with any of this. Have you tried out the money market? Have you tried out Forex? Have you tried out the stocks? Tell us what your experience has been with any of these investment options. Tell us whether you have been successful or not. Let us learn from one another in the comment section. Until later, see you. And don't forget to log in to the LinkedIn Live tomorrow, 8 to 9 p.m. The LinkedIn Live, we will be there sharing more about investments. See you.